Hi there, guys, and welcome to the Chronicles of Gamers. This is a podcast where we love to explain our love-hate relationship with video games. And I'm, of course, your host with the most Efocutioner. Come get some of this gameplay. Oh, I almost said gameplay. Just listen to the podcast. Holy shit, I thought I was streaming fun. I deadass thought I was streaming. Oh, man, that's hilarious. Anyways, welcome to the Chronicles of Gamers, episode 125. This is a podcast where we love to explain our love-hate relationship with video games. Man, although I've been mostly talking about myself as a content creator, content marketer, a few other topics as well, like looking to become a developer and composer, stuff like that. I feel like I'm just like, been basically picking up topics and researching them to better understand. Hopefully, people who listen to this will be more inspired to come into the industry, or at least look at this industry at a particular way. Like, unfortunately, I don't think it's a stable career, but you can build something off of that and push that into something else. And I feel like that's one of the things that I'm trying to do. So this is like, I feel like these podcast episodes, although I feel like they help people, I feel like they're like a mini journal for me, because I do come and watch these things and I'm like, oh yeah, I had that epiphany recently, and I remember I wrote that down in my journal, and I'm like, yeah, I think there's something I want to talk about, and thus here I am talking about it. And the reason why I'm explaining this is because I just recently had an epiphany, and this epiphany all fucking started, and let me hit the button.
Breaking news!
This all fucking started when I decided to check out a David Jaffe stream. For those that don't know who he is, this is, he's a well-known developer. Actually, he's got like a pretty huge platform. So I feel like those who listen to this podcast may know who he is. I'm just going to give him the cliff notes about it, because if you want to learn more, you can just type him into Google. He's done some great things. Let's just say that. Really talented developer. Let me give him a round of applause for the work he's done. Anyways, though, he is a retired developer. He's decided to relax, to enjoy his little Diet Coke, woosah. And he actually had a stream just recently where he talked about Colin Moriarty. And I was just like,
Breaking news!
And also,
What?
Because I was just like, Colin Moriarty? I haven't heard that name in years. I was just like, yo. I mean, I knew he was around. I knew he was doing things. I've heard multiple years that he's like doing extremely well on Patreon. He's actually one of the top Patreonies. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a seat on the board for Patreon. If not, he probably should, because I know I would. Anyways, though, Colin Moriarty, so he got brought back up. I was like, wow, that's incredible. What did Colin do? Because I'm like, the only reason I would hear about Colin, unfortunately, in games media is that Colin must have did something that frustrated a lot of people. Because I don't think he's stupid enough to do what he did. Actually, I don't even think he was really stupid. For those that don't know Colin Moriarty, he used to be with Kinda Funny. Him and Greg used to have the podcast Beyond. Before that switched and became whatever-ish that is. I kind of gave up on Podcast Beyond a while ago. That wasn't my cup of tea, and the people there just weren't talking about the best things in gaming. Either way, David Jaffe had a stream, and he mentioned that Colin Moriarty, on the tweet, I'm not going to show the tweet. You can all Google this or look it up. But Colin Moriarty on the tweet around April 29th, this man decided to make and I shit you not, it's just like a small reply off of someone's article off of Paste Magazine. So this website, Paste Magazine, made a review on Returnal, and it was written by Dia Laxina, and Dia basically mentions that she had a problem with the word Xeno in the game Returnal, because Xeno gets mentioned a lot. Of course, I haven't played Returnal. Not really interested because I don't have a PS5 yet, but I will play it because I've done my own research on the game. But besides that, Colin just literally posted the word "what" on this particular post, where Dia says that the word Xeno made her uncomfortable, and it talked about some Democrat Republican bullshit. And even I was just kind of like, what? Like, I was like,
What?
Xeno, like Democrat Republican shit? It's a video game. I mean, they just want to hear the review. They don't want an analysis, but like, it's her review, so she's able to type what she wants. Either way, there was this other person, a writer on Polygon, called Craptacular, yeah. So, what the fuck are with people in these names? Anyways, though, Craptacular mentions, like, when that person saw Colin's tweet, said, you know what, unfollow me if you're following Colin Moriarty. He's not for me. And he's like, talks about the type of audience that Colin has. And it just gets to the point where I was watching the stream, and even David Jaffrey had like a person come onto the show, and they were saying like all the things that Colin did. And I mean, I know most of them, like, Colin making that funny. Well, not funny, but the situation was funny because it's just like, after 2016, Trump became president, everyone was in a real sensitive mood. I was just like, man, majority Americans, I call majority Americans, aka white people. So it was just like, majority Americans were very sensitive at that time. And Colin made that tweet. And I didn't find it funny, but I didn't see why it blew up as much. But it became a real big deal. And Colin ended up losing his thing at Colin Kind of Funny. But he luckily started his own podcast, and look at it now. So... But yeah, so the person on the stream was just saying like, hey man, Colin shouldn't be allowed to have his businesses and yada, yada, yada. And I was just over here just like, damn, and of course the freedom of speech thing got mentioned, and I'll give my 2 cents on the freedom of speech. If I always said, yes, I agree with the freedom of speech, I feel like, I don't think that needs to be changed. I feel like people should be allowed to say whatever the fuck they want. Although, even though you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want, you cannot stop someone for wanting to beat the shit out of you for the shit you say. Like, if a person were to call me the N-word, I'm slapping the shit out of them, right? That's the equivalent of you spitting on me. That's how I see it, because that's how the word was formed. You can do research on it. Look at how the word was made, and then look at when the word was used for all these the atrocities, the wonderful world that we went through as African Americans. But that's my opinion on it, because I've done research on it. Everyone's got their whole entire different opinion on it. I could probably not beat the crap out the person. I could probably just ignore them, walk away. Who the fuck knows? Really just dependent on my mood. But that's the whole point of freedom of speech. Like, you have the right to say what you want. I have the right to choose how I react to it. I can react to it and be like, you know what? I don't really care. Or I can react to it and be like, you know what? I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. But you're entitled to your thing. So that's kind of like my whole 2 cents on the freedom of speech. But it made me think about something, and we're gonna go straight into another.
Breaking news!
And it really made me go back to like a couple of episodes ago, where I talked about how content creators should choose their own lane, or how developers should play the game and make participate in the industry, do the work, like go into a big AAA studio, do the work and everything, learn the ins and outs of what goes on behind closed doors, and then quickly leave and make your own shit, because everyone has an idea if you're pretty much in this industry. I myself included, I'm working on one right now, and I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but I'm going to be happy that I released it, because it's going to be something of mine, and I'm not going to be tied to a video game. But it had me thinking about the whole, when Colin said that joke, and Greg Miller quickly just, I don't know if he defended him or not, but, letting your friend go and then just cutting all ties from them, I thought that was kind of BS. So I feel like the whole Colin and Greg situation is like the lane versus the game. And I feel like Colin is just following his own lane. He's made his own lane, his own way, being himself. And there are people in the games media that do not like him. Anything he says, they react to and they try to attack him. But he's like, you know what? I will not bend. I will not break. I will continue my way. And I'm like, I got to respect that. I may not like him as a person, although I don't know him as a person. But from what I have seen, I'm like, man, you make it real difficult to, and even the things you say on your podcasts, you make it real difficult to be a supporter. But I respect the fact that Colin is staying in his lane and he's doing his thing. And no matter what comes at him, he's just like, I will not bend, I will not break. While Greg is literally following the game. You know, he's getting particular people on. He gets people that kind of have the same mentality as him-ish. Like now, like, you know, like one of the reasons why I kind of stopped listening to Kind of Funny was there was an episode where they talked about racism. It was him, Colin, Tim, and I forgot the other guy's name. What was it? Producer. Anyways, though. But they pretty much talked about racism in America. And I was just surprised. And I'm like, you got 4 white men talking about racism. And they're talking about their personal experience with racism. And they're saying, you shouldn't do this. And I'm just like, you got 4 fucking white guys talking about racism. Sorry, majority Americans. I'm trying to be a little bit nicer. But it was like, it was a real horrible episode to me. And that was during the time where I was doing research on better understanding what, you know, African Americans went through in this country. And at the same time, I was learning about my own origins of like on my father's side. So like my mother, she's born here. My father is born in Nigeria. So I was going through that phase of like, I'm trying to learn both at the same time. And a lot of the things that I was learning, and then I was listening to these podcasts where, like, you know, we've had some really shitty moments in this country. And I'm just looking like, yo, I think you guys are the wrong fucking people to be talking about this. But I was at a very sensitive time at that point because I was just learning shit. You get what I'm saying? And I was just like, maybe I should not be reacting with my emotions, but I knew I should step away from the platform at a particular time. I'm lucky I didn't go on Twitter or anything and say anything stupid, because that would have just been straight emotion with no facts. And straight emotion with no facts is just some stupid ass shit. But it goes to show that you can make it either way, following the lane for yourself or the game. And I feel like it's very interesting because I feel like with the game, you got to cater yourself to how the industry wants you. And I feel like that can translate to music and movies and stuff like that. Like, you know, Chance the Rapper, he's following his lane, and you can just pick a particular rapper and they followed the fucking game. You know, Joe Budden was playing the game for a while, then eventually he stopped and just made his own lane, and now he's doing a lot better. And it's just, I came to this realization because I was like, at one point I was like, man, I'm doing my own lane. I'm trying to create my own thing. I'm trying to differentiate myself from other people. And then I finally got to the realization, like, I don't need to, I could play the game and still make my lane while I play the game. Whereas, like, there are things I can do within the industry to the best of my abilities, you know, working with other people and stuff like that. But while I'm playing the game with them and still being my honest self, I'm still going to be over on this other side, making my lane. And even though it's slower than playing the game, it's looking nice because, like, when I come away from the game and I come into my lane and people come in, those who fuck with me will just stay. And they do stay. And they stay, like, you know, while I do, like, crazy or stupid things. And even when I talk about stuff, people look at me and they're just like, you know what? That makes sense. Like, I think at one point I was talking about, like, sex and, you know, like, and I had, like, a few women on stream and they were just like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I've gone through this and I gone through that. And it's just like, I'm not hitting on them or nothing, but it was just like a topic. I remember I talked about, like, I feel like I could talk about shit, and I'm slowly getting to that point where I could talk about whatever the fuck I want, where I can act like myself, and people will just be content with it because it's just like I'm doing that over here in the game. And I feel like when you play the game or when you be a content creator and you're putting your stuff out there and you want to get more attention and you're doing things on social media, I feel like it's good to have values and know what the fuck you want, know who the fuck you are, know what you're looking for. Even Gamer Composer at one point is telling me, but that's through dating. But even that kind of translated over here and it opened my mind again. You know, it's just like a reminder, like everything's clicking and I'm just like, it's helping me over here, but it's like not helping me over in the dating scene, unfortunately. So I'm just kind of like, damn. But like when I think about this Colin Moriarty and the Greg Miller thing, and I look at Colin and how and what he's doing, it's not like inspiration or anything, but it's just like admiration. It's just like, wow, he's following his lane in the video game industry, and even though you have all these people trying to attack him, he's like, no, I'm gonna still stay in my lane. You know, I got fired and I had to create my lane, and I was lucky enough that people wanted to hear me from the beginning, and then he just kept going while Greg is playing the game, and you know, he's successful in that, but I feel like Greg can't really be himself. You get what I'm saying? Like I could see the restrictions on him. I feel it. I feel like there's a great deal of restrictions on the people of Kind of Funny, and I get it. I get it. You don't want to shake the boat. You don't want to mess with the waves too much. But it's just like for me, when I play the game, I come in with my particular self. Like when I'm happy, I act goofy. I act, random, but I act goofy as hell. And if people like that about me, they'll say. Even now, like for you guys that listen, like I get listeners and I get people that tell me like, wow, most of your podcast episodes are real nice. They're incredible. They're inspirational. And then I get like sometimes, this is funny. I get this, or like, oh, you kind of mentioned something. So I feel like that's great. But I also feel like these are also for me. But it just goes to show that the lane or the game, you can do both. But it's just interesting because you can just do either one. Like you could just stay in your lane and never play the game. Like Colin's doing. He's staying in his lane. He gave up on the game. The game kicked his ass out, and he made his own lane. And his lane is better than Greg's game, in my opinion. But they're still in there. They're still doing their thing. Greg is playing the game. I don't know if he's doing his lane. I'm not paying attention to that. But I just think it's an incredible situation that, what's going on with Colin. Although there's other people that are saying like, damn Colin, good, damn him to hell, he shouldn't get a platform and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm really just looking at like, this man has his own lane. He's doing his thing, minding his business. Yeah, he might pick and choose certain stupid shit to say, and that can get him into trouble. But it's just like, he's got an audience to back him up, so clearly he must be doing something right, even if that audience may not be the audience I want to fuck with. That's for sure. And, some of the things he says I don't really fuck with. That's truly for sure. You got to just respect the fact he's got his lane, and vice versa for Greg. And I feel like for those that are content creators or developers and stuff like that, I feel like these are the things you really need to think about. And that's how I kind of want to take the whole Colin situation that's going on. I think I think we all just need to really sit down and figure out what the fuck we want to do in this industry, not just for gaming, but in general. Like, what's our end game? I know I talked about this before, but it's a great thing to bring up. What's our end game? Because we're all starting to get older. Everyone's starting to create the same content. You got to either work on yourself or try to find something new. But new is just showing something old in a different way. So are you doing research and looking at old shit and see if you can rehash it and bring it back up? These are the things that I think about. Hopefully you think about too. And that's my 2 cents about the episode. But it's all about the game and how you play it. Damn, man, Triple H, I got to appreciate Triple H's theme song and Triple H more. Because my gosh, man. It just fits. Anyways, though, that's pretty much the episode for today. I know, yes, there's a lot more important news. I could easily talk about, what the fuck's going on with Returnal, and like Dead by Daylight getting an update, or we got Village coming out and other shit. But I feel like this is really important too because this happened in my mind. But before we go, you already know what time it is. Time for shameless plugins. Of course, you can follow us, the Chronicles of Gamers. We're on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. We're on Stitcher. So yeah, man, you can just listen to us. You can also watch us. You could also, if you're watching this, look at the bottom. Luckily, audio people, you don't have to worry about any links. So, you can just listen to my wonderful and beautiful voice and just know that you can do this. Just follow your passions, because that's what I'm doing. Even though I'm lucky enough, I have a really nice place and atmosphere to follow my passions. And I'm making money to do that. Anyways, though, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out of here. Power to the gamers. And, of course, stay lit.